You've probably noticed that everyone has an opinion about Summit, New Jersey being so expensive, but that doesn't actually tell you anything useful unless you know what $1, $2, or $3 million really buys you here. Hi, I'm Victoria, and I've been helping buyers and sellers navigate the Summit area real estate market for over 13 years. The tricky part, especially when you're first starting your search, is that the most important data is hard to see. Public real estate sites mainly show you the listing price. Once a home goes under contract, it usually disappears from your feed. And when it finally closes, the update that you get often shows only the sold price, without the original listing price, days on market, photos, or any other data points that will be critical as you continue your search and prepare to make offers. So in this video, I'm pulling together what you can't easily see online, a real market snapshot of Summit over the past 12 months, including 14 actual sales between roughly $1 and $3 million and a couple above that, including listing price, sale price, days on market, how far over or under the listing price they sold, square footage, lot size, distance to train in town, and taxes. And stick around because I have some behind the scenes stories about a few of these properties from just being involved in this market every day. Okay, first, 25 Mealy Place. This was listed for $859,000 and sold for $1,115,000. So that was 30% over the listing price. It was on the market for 14 days. So that's the time when it hits the market until it was under contract. It has 4 bedrooms, 2 full baths. It's a mile and a half from downtown Summit and Train. The taxes are $9,129 a year, and the lot size is 0.14 acres. Our second example, trading right around $1 million, a little bit over, is 7 Webster Ave. So that was listed at $899,000 and sold for $1,160,000. That's 29% over the listing price. Now, this one was on for 25 days from being active until under contract, but I actually know one of the reasons why it took a little long. They actually received multiple offers, and one of my clients had buyers who made an offer and ended up canceling the deal for a variety of reasons. So they had to go back and go to another offer. That's really the only reason that it was on that long. It has 3 bedrooms and 2 full baths. It's 1.3 miles to downtown Summit and Train. The taxes are $15,706 a year, and the lot size is 0.18 acres. Now we're going to go to around the $1.5 million sale price. We're going to start with 1 Harrison Court. This was listed for $1,299,000 and sold for $1.5 million. So that's 15% over the list price. It was on the market for 13 days. It has 2,429 square feet. The lot size is 0.18. It has 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and it's 1.4 miles to downtown Summit. The taxes are $12,313. The next is 70 Canoebrook Parkway. This was also listed for $1,299,000 and sold just a little higher than Harrison at $1,510,000. It was on the market for 8 days, traded 16% over the listing price, has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths on 0.13 of an acre, and has 1,882 square feet. It's 1.5 miles to downtown Summit, and the taxes are $13,650. Now we're going to the $2 million range. 242 Kent Place Boulevard was listed for $1,695,000 and traded for $2,055,000. That's 21% over the listing price. It was on the market for 13 days. It has 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths with 3,200 square feet on almost half an acre, 0.48 of an acre. It's 1.4 miles to downtown Summit, and the taxes are $22,426 a year. 50 Bellevue Ave was listed at $1,749,000 and traded for an even $2 million. This is 14% over the listing price. It was on the market for 9 days. It had 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths with 2,422 square feet on 0.38 of an acre. This is under a mile to town at 0.8 miles to downtown Summit with $21,751 in taxes per year. Next is another house I have a little story about. This is 12 Beekman Road, one of the highest percentage over of my examples. It was listed at $1,775,000 and traded for $2,405,000. That's 35% over list price. Now, I actually had buyers who made an offer on this house. There were 7 offers total. You can see that the number of offers doesn't necessarily dictate how high it goes. That's a distinct jump from the listing price. It was a really attractive house that had been beautifully renovated, truly spectacularly renovated. Here's the catch though. It's listed as a 4-bedroom house with 2.5 baths, but the 4th bedroom is actually on the main floor next to the powder room. So it's kind of like an office room that to get to the powder room as a guest, you have to walk through this room. So whether it really will function as a 4-bedroom house is another story. But when I tell you that the updates were spectacular, I am not kidding. Just a gorgeous property. It's a little under a mile to downtown Summit. The taxes are $24,147. And it was on 0.28 of an acre. But I will tell you, the landscaping and hardscaping at this property was chef's kiss. Really beautiful. My name is Victoria Canizzo, and I run a real estate team in New Jersey. If you like this content, please make sure to give it a like. Join our community, and when the time is right for you, you can go into the link in the description below or use this QR code and schedule a time to talk to me on Calendly. On to our next houses. Okay, 115 Maple Street. We're in the 2.5 range now, right? We left with Beekman that sold at 2.405. Now we've got 115 Maple Street listed at $1.975 million and traded for $2,550,000. This is 29% over listing price. It sold in 8 days. So this house has 5 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms with 3,093 square feet on 0.38 of an acre. It's only a half a mile to downtown Summit. I think that might be the closest one of all of these. A great walk to town. And $27,161 in taxes a year. Okay, now we're getting into the 3 millions. You can see a trend here though. List price does not necessarily dictate sales price, especially in attractive homes in good neighborhoods of Summit. You have to understand this delta and the trends in where things are trading over the listing price. So for 45 Valley View Ave, this is actually the highest percentage over listing price of all the houses I compiled. It was listed for $2,150,000 and traded for an even $3 million. So that's $850,000 over ask price. It took 9 days to go under contract. It has 5 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms with 4,308 square feet on half an acre exactly. And it's 1.5 miles to downtown with $30,036 a year in taxes. Next, 100 Larned Road. This was listed for $2,550,000 and sold for $3,200,000. So again, 25% over listing price. You can see this trend. It was only on the market for 6 days. It has 4 bedrooms, 3 full and 3 half baths with 3,821 square feet on 0.34 of an acre, just 1 mile to downtown Summit with $30,760 in taxes per year. Okay, now I've included 4 more houses above 3.5 million just to give you a sense of what's happening in the market. This sector in Summit is still moving. So 35 Colt Road was listed for $3,675,000 and sold for $3,850,000, 5% above list price. This was on the market for 19 days. It has 6 bedrooms, 4 full, 3 half baths with 5,212 square feet on 0.56 of an acre. It's 1.4 miles to downtown Summit and has $46,123 in taxes a year. I almost said a month. That would be scary. Okay, next one, 22 Hobart Road. Now, I want to remind you that in 2022, this house sold for exactly $4 million. Nothing has changed in it that I can differentiate from the photos. It was listed, I use that in a very, very loose term because this actually traded off market for $4.8 million. So the agent put it right on the market and then closed it out. So this was an off-market deal. It has 5 bedrooms, 5 full, 1 half baths with 4,846 square feet. It's 0.9 miles to town with $73,123 in taxes a year. It's a very, very desirable part of the north side of Summit. I actually have a listing next door, and it backs up to the Summit Arboretum. It's really a stunning, stunning location. The next one is just around the corner, on the corner of Hobart Ave and Hobart Road, 141 Hobart Ave. Now, this was originally listed in 2023 for this almost the same listing price, $4,995,000. It was on the market for quite some time, and they ended up actually leasing it. So this was done off market again, this sale, because the agent knew that it was still potentially for sale, even though they had a tenant. So they still listed the price. The market price is $4,950,000, and it sold for $4,500,000, a little less than that. Not a little. $450,000 less than that. It has 7 bedrooms, 5 full baths, and 1 half bath, over 6,437 square feet on almost an acre, on 0.91 of an acre, just under 1 mile to downtown Summit, 0.8 miles to downtown Summit, with $63,701 per year in taxes. Okay, now time for the highest sale in Summit, 73 Edgewood Road. This is another off-market deal that was listed for $5,525,000. Now, it last sold in 2021 for $4,150,000. I, again, did not see discernible differences between the photos, but I didn't see it in person, so I couldn't tell you. It has 7 bedrooms, 7 full, 1 half bath, over 6,758 square feet. It's on over half an acre at 0.67, and it's 0.8 miles to downtown Summit with $66,443 in taxes. Okay, so you might have seen as we got into that higher price bracket in Summit that several of those properties traded off market. And indeed, 24 of the 231 sales in Summit in the last 12 months sold off market. They weren't all in this sector, but a good number of them were. 131 of those 231 properties were on the market up to 15 days, with the average of 10 days on market. So that lines up with most of the other properties I brought up today. And they sold for an average of 13% over the listing price. You saw we had a bunch that were quite a bit more than that, just based on what I was pulling. But that's the average amount over the listing price. Now, 46 of those 231 houses were on the market between 16 and 30 days, with an average of 20 days on market. And those sold for just 3% on average over the listing price. And the final 30 homes of the 231 were on the market between 31 and 133 days. The average was 60 days on market, and those sold for an average of 4% under the listing price. So this really shows you some of the market patterns. If a house is desirable and gets a lot of attention, and usually that includes being priced very strategically. Not all of these listing prices really equal market value. In fact, They're intentionally underpriced to garner a lot of interest and basically get a lot of people to make offers. So the shorter amount of time that you're on the market, the more likely it is that you will get a higher price for the house. That's important for a buyer to understand, both to look at the data of comparable houses to the houses that you want to be making offers on, but it's also important because if a house is sitting on the market right now, there might be some flexibility for you. That can be a great opportunity for buyers when they continue to lose out on houses. So this is a time to talk to your agent about potentially home reno loans, because maybe there's something that's not quite done in that house that you could do to your specifications, not someone else's, that might get you a house in a very competitive market. See you in the next one.